pine cupboard. Lots of good storage area down below, some drawers, and even display storage up above. Now, the inspiration for this piece came from a visit we made to England. I'll take you there next, right here on the New Yankee Workshop.
The New Yankee Workshop features the craftsmanship of Norm Abram.
Well, today we're in Polegate, not far from Brighton, on the south coast of the United Kingdom, at Graham Price Antiques. And I have the honor today of having him take us around. Hi, Graham. Good to see you again. You see what I got on my list today. What I'm looking for is some kind of sideboard or a server with some storage below with doors and drawers, and up above some storage, either open or preferably with some nice glass doors. Do you have something?
Yeah, we got things like that. Let's have a look over here first.
Oh, I see a piece right there. Now, what can you tell me about that?
This is a French piece in pine. It's a buffet decor.
Buffet decor, what does that mean?
It just means that it's in two parts. Splits here for movement, top and bottom.
And what's this wood? That's not pine.
No, that's some beech there on the drawer fronts, and again up here on the turning.
It's a nice piece, but I think it's a little bit complicated with these turnings and the fancy panels, and it's a little large for what I'm looking for. Do you have anything a little
small?
Others,
yeah.
Okay. That's more like it. Is this English?
No, this is Austrian.
Austrian.
Pine again, much simpler construction than the other one.
Yeah, it is.
Basic.
But you know, it still has nice dovetailed joints on the drawers, and
the joinery quality is good.
Good solid bottom. Now, who'd have built something like this?
This would have been made by the village carpenter.
So is it one of a kind?
Absolutely. Just made for one home.
It's great. It's just about the right size. I think this would be the one. And I got here just in time because it's apparently already sold.
Yeah.
But it looks terrific, all polished and waxed. What do these pieces look like when they come to you?
Very different from this, but if we go along to the workshop, we can have a look at some.
Okay. Graham, this is quite an operation. You've got warehouse space, workshop space. Where do you get all this stuff?
Oh, we have suppliers out all over Europe, you know, in Ireland, France, Denmark, hopefully soon in Eastern Europe.
So they scout it out and bring it here and...
Well, I go look at it normally.
Oh, you look at it?
Yeah.
And then it comes here, and this is the sort of beginning of the process.
This is the first part, yeah.
Wow. What's this?
This is an Irish dresser or hutch, typical from an Irish farmhouse from the middle of the last century, but had lots of modern coats of paint on it, of course.
Yeah, well, this certainly isn't ready to go out.
No, it needs a bit of work, yeah. We have to get it back to the wood.
Now, where are those hutches that you said were like the ones we were looking at?
There's one over here, look.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Very similar to the one we looked at.
Very similar.
Has obscured glass in it, of course, which we usually change for clear glass, because that's what people prefer. But you can see under the paint there the real colour of the old pine.
Yeah, it's the old pine. Fortunately, the inside isn't painted. Yeah. So, and you're going to... Do you take it apart?
Well, the drawers obviously will strip separately, and the doors will just take off, but otherwise we immerse the whole carcass.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that goes...
Change the hardware for something.
Yeah, put something more appropriate, yeah. Well, Graham, tell me, what did you pay for something like this?
That one cost £180 in Austria, in that condition.
You didn't pay too much, did you?
Enough, but not too much.
$400. I can't believe for a moment that Graham Price paid any $400 for that old beat-up cupboard that he showed me. He's much too sharp for that. In fact, if I was trying to sell him this piece, he'd probably deal for quite a while. This is our version of the cupboard that we saw in his showroom. Now, I built mine out of #2 pine because it has the small knots, which adds a lot of character to the piece, but more importantly, this is about 1/4 the price that I would have to pay for clear select pine. Now, if you like the look of this cupboard and you'd like to build one for your dining room or for your kitchen, a measured drawing is available with a materials list, and you'll hear more about that before the program ends. Now, before we start working today, I want to take a moment to talk about shop safety. Be sure to read, understand, and follow all the safety rules that come with your power tools. Knowing how to use your power tools properly will greatly reduce the risk of personal injury. And remember this, there is no more important safety rule than to wear these safety glasses. Now, there's a lot to do on this project, So I've already glued up all the panels that I'm going to need. They consist of 1x8 and 1x6 boards that have been edge jointed so they're nice and straight. And I've glued them together and reinforced the joints with these hardwood biscuits. You can even see the end of one at this cutout. After the glue dried, I sanded them nice and smooth and cut them to the correct width and height. Now, this happens to be one of the side panels, and down at the bottom I have a cutout, and that's so that the whole width of the panel does not have to sit on the floor. Now, to make that cutout, I laid it out and drilled some 7/8 inch holes in each corner so that I get a radius instead of a sharp edge, which might split. Now I have to cut along this line between the two holes. So I've set up a straight edge clamp, and I'm going to use my circular saw to cut that piece out. On the inside of those side panels is a series of dados and rabbets, and they receive either shelves or other cross members. The dados do not come through the front edge of the cabinet because I don't want them to show. I milled all the dados with the help of a straight edge guide and my router, which was set up with a 1/2 inch straight cutting bit. Now along the back edge, there's a rabbet for the plywood backing. That's made using a router equipped with a 3/8 rabbeting bit that has a ball bearing that follows the edge of the panel.
He's ready to operate. But he's no ordinary doctor. He's HGTV's Ron Hazelton, the house doctor.
I'm ready to start the surgery, sir.
This doctor makes house calls with a style all his own. Ron Hazelton, the house doctor. Tonight at 6 on HGTV.
The co-op of growers who make Florida's natural premium juice are like a family with a long lineage and an extensive family tree. As you can see, their nursery's always full, but then they do have the best daycare around. Sure, the folks who make Florida's natural see things a little differently. After all, they own the land, they own the trees, they own the company. Taste the difference it makes. Florida's natural, not from concentrate, premium juice.
Food Network. Something different, something fresh, and a place to share it. People everywhere are connecting with Food Network to satisfy their curiosity, share real stories, and experience the unexpected. Food Network showcases the heartful, the artful, and the eclectic, with programs and personalities that inspire and inform. Food Network, television that's full of flavor. If you don't get Food Network, call your local cable operator or satellite provider for details.
Now with a little glue in the dado, and on the end of the bottom shelf, we're ready for a little assembly. Now you'll notice there's a little cutout at the leading edge of the shelf. I'll tell you what that's all about in a minute. The purpose of these clamps is to pull everything tightly together before I nail it. Now it's a little trickier nailing the cabinet together from the inside, but you avoid the problem of having nail holes that show on the outside. Now, there's a couple more pieces that go in the dados and rabbets. This piece of 1x3 with biscuit slots cut in it to receive the draw supports sits in this dado, and I'm not going to glue it. I want to let the side move freely so it just floats. But this top piece will get secured with glue and nails. You notice I've cut some dados, and those are for some cross pieces that I'll use to secure the top. Now this piece of 1/4 inch plywood for the back adds a lot of strength, and it helps keep the dust out. The conventional way of finishing the front of a cabinet is to apply a face frame to the carcass using flat stock. But I noticed on the antique original that they had a laminated setup, and I liked the way that looked, so I decided to carry it out on our piece. So in addition to the side panel, I'm putting a 1/4 inch piece, then a 3/4 inch piece, which gives me the look of a post, 1 3/4 inches square. Now, before I apply these, I want to make the mortises for my hinges and cut some biscuit slots to receive the horizontal rails. The mortise for the hinge is made using a jig which has a window slightly larger than the hinge itself, and that compensates for the difference between the size of the collar and the edge of the bit. Now, this handy little device cleans out the corners of the mortise. Now, the laminated posts are held together by a little bit of glue and clamp pressure, no nails. With biscuits installed in the post, I can now slip in the rail that goes under the drawers and clamp it in place. Now, this little piece is just a divider between the two drawers. And that takes care of the top rail. Now, these are the drawer supports, and this is one of the end supports. It has a little piece on the side to keep the drawer directing in straight. With the biscuit in place, I just slip it into the slots cut in the rails. I left myself just enough room to pop the back edge in and pull everything together. Now I'll just use a couple wedges to put some pressure on the joints until the glue sets. Now here's the center divider, which will guide the side of the drawer, attached with some glue and brads. On the top of the base cabinet, there are 3 cross pieces. And on one end, I've made a shiplap joint. Nothing fancy, just cut on the radial arm saw. And that will fit into these dados that I made in this rear rail. On the other end, there's a biscuit. And with some glue, that attaches to the front rail. Now, the back is simply going to float in this slot. The sides will expand and contract. This will not stop that from moving. The top, which gets attached to the front and back rail, will help hold it down so that as you open the drawer, it won't tip out. Now, this piece of 1/4-inch stock is simply a lamination to make the rail look a little bit thicker. Now, this little 1-inch wide strip is a bottom rail that I'm holding down from the top edge of the shelf about 3/8 of an inch so that the doors will have something to close against.
A severe weather warning again for tonight, with temperatures expected to fall way below freezing. To avoid any damage, be sure to wrap...
Yep. You got yourself a broken pipe, all right. You ever fix one? Heard a guy talk about it once. Said it's not as hard as you think. Said Lowe's can show you how.
Sam, think we ought to cut the water at the main valve?
Good idea.
Okay. The way I see it, we can slow the leak with a piece of rubber and a hose clamp. Or we could plug the hole and wrap the pipe in electrical tape until I can get a plumber out here.
Or you and I could fix it.
Yeah, a rubber pad and a pipe clamp might just fix it permanently. Or we could cut out the broken section and smooth the edges.
And put in a new one. From Lowe's.
It's not that hard. Lowe's can show you how.
When it comes to home improvement, Lowe's knows.
How does Dannon find peaches that are so succulent? The same way other fruit experts do. Only a lot faster. Which is why the fruit on the bottom of every wholesome, creamy, nutritious Dannon yogurt is bursting with so much flavor. It's everything any fruit lover could hope for. Dannon, made with fruit picked at the peak of delicious.
There's a place in your mind you still go, isn't there? The little beach town where melon and seafoam-colored memories remain as vivid as the day they were painted. The best of life, sparkling like colored reflections in the water. Then suddenly, years gone. There's a way back. Enter HGTV's Dream Home Giveaway and win our fully furnished custom home at Rosemary Beach, Florida's most majestic planned community. This is the way coastal living used to be. Simple, wonderful. To make things even better, here's a $19.99 Cadillac Escalade to go with your new home in your new hometown. It's all brought to you by Sears and Cadillac, along with these national sponsors. To enter, visit any Sears store, enter online at hgtv.com, or send a handwritten postcard with your name, address, and phone number to the address shown. Entrants automatically become eligible to win one of 5 Sears shopping sprees. HGTV's Dream Home at Rosemary Beach. Memories are waiting for you there.
Good morning. I'm almost finished attaching the sides to the upper unit of our cupboard. The details are the same as the lower unit, and everything is held together with glue and nails. These are the boards that form the back of the upper unit. Full thickness, 1x6s and 1x8s. I milled a tongue in one edge, a groove in the other edge, and a groove at the bottom of the board. All that was done using my shaper, a tool that we don't use every day in the shop, but when you need it, you need it. Now, for safety reasons, we unplugged the shaper, and I can now rearrange the cutters to make the groove in the boards. To make the groove in the bottom of the board, I use my miter gauge, which is equipped with hole downs, and the same set of cutters. Now, to take the edge off the corners on the face side and give the piece a little bit of a decorative V-groove, I'm just using my block plane. There's no glue required here, just a couple nails in every board where the back meets the shelves. Now, you'll note that I made a 3/4 inch deep rabbet in the sides to accommodate the back. And this space, that's deliberate to allow the back to expand and contract a bit. Just a little dab of glue right about in the center of the back to hold this spline in place. It's one of those details that can't hurt. Here I'm building up the post for the upper unit, just like I did on the lower unit. Now, the top rail is a little bit wider, and it's held in place with some biscuits. I gotta work that in before I finish clamping this left-hand post. Now, this is a little decorative piece that we copied from the original. Here's where that decorative piece goes, just beneath the lower rail, and it's meant to be recessed in about 1/4 inch. The frames for both the upper and lower doors are made the same way. There are vertical pieces referred to as stiles, and they have a groove down the center. And there are horizontal pieces referred to as rails, which have a groove and a tongue, which fits into that. Now, the tongues and grooves are made exactly the same way as I did for the backboards. The only thing I haven't showed you with the shaper is how to make a tongue across the grain. I use the same miter gauge, but I put a backer block to prevent split out. Before I glue up the frames for the lower doors, I have to make the panel that fits in the groove. We're using the same 3/8 inch rabbiting bit that I used earlier. I've cut a rabbet around the edge of a 5/8 inch thick solid panel that will fit in the grooves of the rails and stiles. Now, the only thing that holds the rails and stiles together is glue. Of course, there's no glue at all on the panel. You want that to float. All right, now we'll check it for square. Just one little tap. That's good, and we'll set it aside to dry. Here's one of the upper door frames. I want to set a glass panel in it. So I'm going to have to remove the material along this side of the groove. Then I'll be able to install a piece of glass and hold it in place with a small quarter round. To remove the material, I'm going to use my rabbiting bit. The draw construction features a solid pine front connected to the sides with dovetail joinery. The rest of it is made out of a high-grade cabinet plywood, quarter-inch that floats in the bottom in a groove, and the side is attached to the back with a dado joint. And that's what I'm going to make first. Now, with the stacked dado head reduced to 1/4 inch in width, I can run the groove for the bottom. If a woodworker has a good dovetailing jig and a router, and he carefully follows the instructions that come with it, he'll end up with perfect dovetails every time.
Order a home video of the project you've just seen Norm build, complete with a measured drawing and materials list. Call toll-free 1-800-892-0110. The price is $24.95 plus shipping and handling. Get the measured drawing alone for only $10. The number again is 1-800-892-0110.
Ah, what a day. Whole family went down to the lake, including the dog. Seems like just a few weeks ago, she was too stiff to get up, much less run around. But then our veterinarian told us about Rimadyl, a breakthrough product that could help her arthritis pain. Help? She's like her old self again. Isn't that right, lady?
As with other pain relievers in this class, digestive and liver side effects may occur.
Every day, more people are choosing Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse, and here's why.
Only Lowe's carries one and only interior paint. It's the only paint you'll ever need.
Hence the name, one and only.
It covers beautifully in just one coat, and it's tough enough to stand up to repeated scrubbing.
That's why it comes with a 15-year warranty.
I like guaranteed everyday low prices, too.
And while one and only comes in hundreds of fashionable colors, Lowe's paint experts can match any color you like.
When it comes to home improvement, Lowe's knows.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Deardorff. Where would you go for a home equity loan? Let's ask.
Well, banks have the best rates.
But banks only lend money when you don't need it.
Advanta National Bank is different. They lend money to people when they need it.
Right. With my credit?
They made their first loans 45 years ago to teachers who had trouble borrowing. They helped out when others wouldn't.
This is a bank, right?
With customers who get the flexibility only a national bank can offer, right over the phone.
Got to move all your accounts there.
Nope, just call Advanta. One of their loan specialists will show you how to use the equity in your home to pay off all of your bills. Get one low monthly payment and save hundreds of dollars a month, plus a tax deduction.
You'll wait for some board to approve.
You'll get fast approval over the phone. And your money in about 10 days. You don't need to have money in the bank to get money from a bank. To get the loan you want, call Advanta at 1-800-453-0354. You'll see they're different. Hey, they don't keep bankers' hours either.
These holes are for screws which will be used to secure the top. No glue, just screws here. The few biscuits will help align the upper portion of the cupboard with the lower section. All right, those biscuits align it. Now I'm going to put a couple screws from underneath to secure it. And if you ever had to move it, you could take it apart. Now this is the first piece of the cornice. It won't be seen, just a piece of 3/4 inch stock that's been beveled back at a 15-degree angle. Now this next piece of the cornice I actually milled from a piece of 1x5 over at the table saw. It wasn't that difficult to do. Now here's a piece of stock that I've ripped to 4 inches to make our molding. Here's a finished piece of the molding. The first cut that I want to make is this back bevel, and that's where it sits up against the side of the cabinet. So I've tilted the saw blade to 15 degrees, and I'll just run the piece through on edge. The next cut to make is this one right here, which is parallel to the back cut. So I've just lowered the blade a bit. The next cut is right here, and that's a vertical cut. So the saw is back to 90 degrees. Now with the fence moved to the other side of the blade and the blade tipped to 40 degrees, I'm now ready to make this beveled shoulder cut. For the next pass, the blade has been tipped back to 15 degrees, and I'll run the bottom edge. One more slight adjustment to the fence, and we'll make the final pass. Now this last piece is a standard molding right off the shelf at the lumber yard. It's called an 1 3/4 band molding. It kind of pretties up the piece. Well, after fussing with the hinges a bit, we're ready for the finish. And we'll put the glass in after that. For a stain on our cupboard, I'm using a water-based product that the manufacturer refers to as Spanish oak. And it seems to be the closest thing we've found that comes to that English pine look. Once the stain has dried, we'll give it some protection with a couple coats of polyurethane. Well, here it is, our pine cupboard with the final coat of satin polyurethane, the nice brass hardware, and the glass in our upper doors. This is a very useful piece for the kitchen, dining room, or any place storage is required or display is desired.